Recording in progress.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning. Good morning.
And welcome to Miracle Center for Spiritual Living Sunday morning service. What a wonderful day to be alive. So just want to thank you all for being here, welcoming all to those in the sanctuary and to those joining us on Zoom and by phone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So just to get started, today is July 17th, 2022, and our monthly theme, Living Everyday Wonder, Relationships. And just want to thank Gilbert. I was listening to Gilbert for a while. Thank you, Gilbert, for that beautiful music. We're just so lucky to have you and that you share your talents so beautifully and so givingly. Thank you, Gilbert. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Lynnette Horn, and I'm your practitioner for today. And I'm joining you from my home in Medina County, Ohio. So if you would like to join me as I say the invocation and just take a few minutes to gather ourselves, we'll center down. And find that peaceful place within. Divine Spirit, our beautiful beloved God, the one source, the first cause, the all in all, the all that is. This is our God. And we know that this God is everywhere present. This God is within us, within each and every one of us. It is the living, loving power and source that lives us and moves us, and we have our being within it. This intelligent power is everywhere, all the time present, and all powerful. And so, as I speak my word into this presence, into this loving power, this intelligence that knows my words, knows my feelings, knows our hearts, I just bless this morning's service, knowing that it unfolds beautifully, and each and every one that hears and participates in this service is so blessed beyond measure. I bless each and every one with good health, with prosperity and well-being, blessing each and everyone's families and extended families, blessing out, and this blessing radiates out into our community, blessing our community, blessing our cities, blessing our homes and this country. Just giving thanks for this science of mind philosophy that we know about the consciousness of oneness and wholeness and allness. And we know about the power of love, for it moves through our lives daily. And so, giving thanks for this love and this community, this support that we have in each other, and the support that we have in God, I just declare that love prevails everywhere, always, and peace and joy reign supreme throughout. With a grateful heart, I release this prayer into the law of the mind of God, knowing it is done, and all good and great things are in effect. And we give thanks, and together we say, and so it is to us to be more that way. So going back to the program, our affirmation today, I am a powerful catalyst of love within society. Let's say that together. I am a powerful catalyst of love within society. One more time. I am a powerful catalyst of love within society. That's powerful. So going to the program, the relationships we have with the broader gathering of people is what has created and continues to create societies. The agreements we make consciously and those we agree to by default are what affect and govern how we interact and relate to one another. And the summary of today's topic, this week our focus is the relationship we have with the society in which we live, while recognizing there are many nuances and intersections to what these relationships mean, how they are formed, and how they influence not only those within that society, but how they affect the global society. We are invited to look at and look for the ways we can engage society to nurture and embolden healthier, compassionate, equitable, and loving relationships for all people. And the science of mind point of view. You and I could no more have an individual mind than we could have an individual ownership of the principle of mathematics or of harmony or of beauty. Each of us is creating an individual way. We are individualizations in the one mind, and no two of us are exactly alike. But we are all immersed in the collective thought of the whole human race. And that comes from 365 Days Science of Mind, page 91. Well, this is some good stuff we're going to get into. I can't wait to hear what the message is, the full message from Reverend June. So without any more delay, introduce you now to our minister, Reverend June Clark. And she is going to speak to us on the topic, You and Me, We Create Society. Reverend June?
Good morning, and thank you, Lynnette. Good to see you there in Akron area there. So bless you and thank you for your warm and beautiful welcome this morning. I'm masking up again. No, this is a choice in this world, and since the society seems to have a few more, what do they call them, variants? I'm not wishing to revisit any virus in any form, shape, whatever blessing. So, good morning and half July, half. We're looking at the upside and knowing that we're moving as we ought to move. I guess if it was any different, we'd be wondering what was going on with the climate and all that good stuff. So we're on board and we're doing the best that we can to move forward in this awesomeness of this world today. So you and me, we create society. It's interesting when I think of society, it used to be labeled with all these different categories and high society and certain people that did certain things and lived a certain way and had certain things. But now I think we're more of just a society, which is great. I think for most of us is that we are one, so to speak, one exactly, as the universal allness of God. So we do create society, and within our own bubble, so to speak, as we move about in this world, as we react to what is going on in this world, the whole of society is affected, and we are affected by it. It is affected by us individually. So we're going to start with some references here, and I'm going to go to page 197 in the Science of Mind book, which will be prior to what you have there in your bulletin. And I was just actually skimming through it this morning and realizing, I think I'll just share some of that information that starts in your bulletin in the middle of page 197. And the chapter for this area of the textbook is physical perfection. And under physical perfection, it is man reenacts God. So since we're talking about ourselves, the we, and we're talking about ourselves in the me, we're talking about the we as a whole group, and then society as an even larger group, the complete set of the me's and the we's. So just to begin a little bit here, reading on page 196, if you have your textbook, man, it's the third paragraph down. Man is conscious mind or spirit that stands for his objective faculty. The objective mind of man is his recognition of life in a conscious state. So whatever each individualized expression of God, which is us, each individual, whatever we are thinking, that's the me. Whatever we are thinking affects the we, and therefore creates what affects society, affects not just those of us in this sanctuary, not just those of us in this church or in Cleveland or wherever you are. It affects everyone on the planet. And you might say, well, nobody else knows what I'm thinking. But yes, we do. We do. We may not intuit every single thing that everyone is thinking. But there's this universal allness, this godness, this, I don't know, sometimes I imagine it as a beautiful wave of violet shades and turquoise shades and shifting into yellow and pink and gray and white, and just this movement, this, not this vision of God with on the throne and the white beard or the dark hair and the sandals and the robe. It's like this consciousness is of such beauty that it's indescribable. So the objective mind of man is his recognition of life in a conscious state. So it's really important. How do you perceive the me of you, the me of me, the I of I? How do you perceive yourself? And without worrying or without thinking about how others, the other I's, the other me's, the other we's that are amongst us, not thinking about how do they perceive me today? Really doesn't matter. What matters is, how do you perceive your me? How do you perceive yourself? What is your conscious state of being? Conscious state of being. It is the only attribute of man that is volitional or self-choosing. There's a lot of choices, and one of them is to do nothing, to be nothing, to accept nothing, to feel nothing, but you're still a me, you're still an I, but you're rather, no, I can't do that. I can't judge it. I was just going to go off into what it could be, what it could mean, but I can't do that because my me doesn't recognize that for me. But since every individual is self-choosing, if you are choosing to be however you are, I'll put it that way, because whatever terms I come up with are something that I am looking at, that I am accepting as truth. And all I can do is accept my own. So think about your me-ness. Me, M-E, your me-ness. What are you showing up as to be within this fold, this essence that I see as beauty flowing throughout the universe? How do you show up within that pattern? That's the very, very, very most important aspect of who you are from this moment on, because you've been asked the question, so the answer is within you. The book says, consequently, it is the spiritual man. Holmes did not write /woman, but we know when we say man, we are including the all wonderful and powerful female within that word. The conscious mind of man is the contemplator, the thinker, the contemplator. So if we're going to contemplate something, let's make it about ourselves. Why bother trying to contemplate what somebody else means or what somebody else is doing, and especially not why they are doing it? I get rather busy with this individual right here, because there are times I can't figure out, where did I put that? How come I'm putting that on? What am I going to do today? Why did I stay up so late? Because I know I got to get up in the morning. All this. I'm so busy contemplating on this me that I'm getting better at it, tending not to contemplate on all the other me's on the planet. And, I know what I'm saying is not reaching you and saying, oh, she doesn't think about people. I know that. But if your me-ness, me, I keep not wanting it to be M-E-A-N, your me-ness is focused on a whole lot of other things and people besides just you, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But put yourself up on the top of the hill, on top of the list. What's up for you? What's occurring in your life? What's showing up? What are you being given that you look at? Do you decide without any prejudice, without any thinking too deeply about it, when something wonderful happens for you? I would dare to say, when the negative happens, you get all into it, get all down into it. So therefore, if you get all down into it, that means you're accepting it as a factual thing to get into. So if that happens in your case, you're the contemplator, consider getting all into the joy of what's going on in your life. And if there is something that has the appearance of negativity, judgment, I wish that hadn't ought, and I shouldn't have oughta, and I oughta, and I do, and what do I do? Contemplate. Go into meditation. Go into quietude. You don't have to be an expert at any of these things. Just turn off the negativity. Look at the positivity. What's the song? And there ain't no Mr. in between. You got to latch on to the positive, eliminate the negative, something to and don't let pandemonium, something like that. One of my father's old songs. So bring back something that, see how quick that memory was triggered? Just bring back the me that you know is the best of who you are. The best of who you are. And focus on that. And whatever else appears to be out of alignment, it's going to dissipate. It's going to smooth itself out because it's not your spiritual truth. It's not the godness of who you are. And it's that easy. It says here, the second paragraph, let us bear in mind what we have already learned, that the universe, the word universe is capitalized, which means God, that God is the result of the contemplation of the divine mind. Divine is capital, mind is capital, which means God, if you're reading this textbook. Contemplation of the divine mind or the Holy Spirit. Isn't that wonderful? And there's a comma there, and it's next thing it says, which is God. What better thought pattern are we to have than to have our minds stayed on God? The God within us, the God around us. I noticed in the invocation that Lynnette gave, she named these different attributes of life, the simple things of life, of God expressing itself. And you can go on for infinitum. You can quickly run out of words, the human words, to describe God, to describe good. And if you can look at your own meanness and just have a wonderful set of I am, ta-da, me, ta-da, you know, just be the comforter of yourself. There are times when I know last week and a half, it was a quiet spell for me. There were things going on with people that I care about that were in my heart, in my prayers. If you're in that quiet space, appreciate it. Appreciate it. I found that I appreciated the acceptance of quietness, not just not having the TV on, not just not having dialogue with anybody, not having many phone calls, not doing very much, except considering me, considering the essence and the truth of me. So if things are looking just a little bit beyond a parade marching up and down in your head or in your heart, go to that quiet place where there's a running brook, or there's butterflies, or there's just peace balloons going up in the air, or you're just sitting and in contemplation. If you choose to call it practitioner, if you choose to call someone that and say, will you just breathe with me for a little while? We don't have to talk. We don't have to pay attention if there's beeps coming in on the phone. It's just you and me. We're just going to go into this state of beingness. And that's, for me, what society is about. Because my society is my family, which is 2,500 to 3,000 miles back west. And then there's my family that is right here in Cleveland, Ohio, and the surrounding areas of that. So I'm fortunate to have two blessed communities that I can rest my mind in, rest my heart in, and know that I am being fed and accepted, whether I am in contact physically, verbally, or not. I know that when I go into that quietness, that there are a lot of other me's that are there with me. So back to the book here. I'll just start at that first sentence again, at the second paragraph. Let us bear in mind what we have already learned. That's key. What we have learned. Don't let what you know become stagnant. We've learned a lot. And from that learning, there are many, many places, thought patterns, etc., that will not be entered into by me again, because I have learned a lot. And so have you. We have already learned that the universe is the result of the contemplation of the divine mind, or the Holy Spirit, which is God. God creates by contemplating his own I amness. I amness is in capital letters. And the contemplation through law becomes the objectification of the self-realization of the infinite mind. Thank you, Ernest Holmes. The man could write. But every once in a while, you got to take all those commas with all those words and just break them down. God is, I am, and put yourself like the cherry on the top of that sundae with the whipped cream and all the other stuff and the ice cream and all that. You are the cherry on the top, and know that and realize that and conduct your life in that manner. Be the one who is special. And within the society, when you recognize your specialness, that's what you're going to bring forth when you're around other people, when you're around yourself first. You got to have it first within in order to be able to transmute it, or whatever you want to call it, share it, be it. When you're around other people, the real self, the real you is going to blossom, and it's going to become part of that beautiful wave of consciousness that I see. And it's going to go out, and it's going to be the you and the me and the we that create society. So in your bulletin, you have this paragraph from page 197, and it relates again to man reenacts God. So all of that, if you have the book or if you have time, you can read what precedes this paragraph. Although man is inherently a perfect idea, his individuality covers this idea with the forms of thought which he images. Images. I looked at that first and I read it to myself, and I thought, imagines. No. Imagination is something totally different. Covers this idea with the forms of thought which he images. What do you see beyond the lens in your eyes? What do you see? If you do not have the gift of sight, you still have the images and the heart and the thought of what is going on in your mind. The forms of thought which he images. Man comes into this life subjective to the race consciousness and to his own environment. The race consciousness. I was tripped up when I first started in Science of Mind. I said, what are they talking about? The race consciousness here. Are they just talking about those people? And I do believe, as I usually did, voiced my opinion out loud in a class. Unfortunately, as it is in, I would say, 99.9% of classes that are held with Science of Mind people, that gently it was explained to me that the race consciousness is all thought, all activity, all images, all imaging, all thought patterns of the race, of the people. So if you are in a group in the society of a certain way that people enact their lives, that's what your thought patterns, your images are going to be subjected to. So I would dare to say that those within the sound of my voice, the race consciousness, the society that you are in, is a blessed society. It is blessed because you are in it, and you are able to be in it because of what the society that you're in gives to you and you give to it. Man comes into this life subjective to the race consciousness and to his own environment. We each have an environment. Whatever, however you want to expand it, however big it is, however small it is, that is the environment which you thrive in. If you're not thriving in it, you need to shift and find an environment where you do thrive. He unfolds his own personality and begins to create new subjective thought. Isn't that wonderful? How many personalities are there in this universal allness, just in this room, just those on Zoom? Our own personality. He thinks and observes, draws certain conclusions and deductions, and incorporates them within his mentality. Incorporates them within his mentality. Do we force our mentality on others? Maybe we do sometime. Yeah, I can think of it. Well, that's, you can do this with kids, at least when they were kids. That's not a good idea. But we don't tend to do it that way. But even now as adults, we do tend to assist one another by being honest with one another, by being comfortable with one another in order to be honest with one another. So we incorporate who we are, and we allow that to be part of our personality, until at last they also become a part of the relative cause of his subjective, objective existence. So I wrote this here, the consciousness of God is ours. And each of us have it, each of us are it. And then when it comes down to objective existence, it's the consciousness side of thinking. Our existence is what we think about, what we focus on, how we allow ourselves to interact with all these other you and me's and we's. We don't even bump into each other. We merge, we literally merge into one another. And what is not of desire to you that comes from me, you will not absorb it. I will not absorb anything unless I choose. You will not absorb anything unless you choose. And that is, I'm saying, from another being. You will not. You may see, you may hear, and it will dissipate if it is not yours to absorb. So when we do see, when we do act, it's because of our contemplation of what is happening around us, within us, to us, by the other yous, by the other me's, and by the other we's, and by society. So I'm going to move on through here. I did do some Bible looking again. I have to apologize. Last week I misread. I told my board president that I did, and he said, "Oh, it's okay, Reverend Jim." He was so kind to me. But I'm not. I do apologize. I misspoke last week. So what I'm going to read today, I'm going to read very carefully, and it is from Hebrews chapter 5, verses, let me see, where am I? Hebrews 13, chapter 13, verses 5 and 6. And this to me lent itself to bringing in some biblical reference, bringing in some aged attitude. So here I have read this is about the laws, of talking about us, the you, the me, the we. And this says on 5, verse 5, let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? And I think that's very, very important, for in our humanness that we can revert back to the ancient words, the words of Christ, the words of Jesus, the words of God as one. The second paragraph talks about laws and all the things within these laws that we are subjected to, that we make, that we live by. And if you go to the biblical reference, Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5 and 6, it's almost like basic science of mind was written then. I am the I am. God is within us. It never changes. It's that simple. And it's that beautiful. So moving on to the next paragraph, it starts with remember. Remember in your bulletin. Remember our relationship with ourselves forms the ground from which all outer relationships arise. Outer. Wherever you are, at home, here at church, in a meeting, at work, on the bus, in your car, in traffic, outer relationships. The awareness from falling in love is often an opportunity to develop that relationship with self into one that is more loving of self. Therefore, you can be more loving of all these infinite people in society, all these things about society. If you love yourself more, you can bring that love to everything that you are doing and being. More self-compassionate, more resilient, If we learn these things, then we have gained the experience. If we learn these things, then we have gained from the experience. Again, went to the Bible, this time in Galatians. It's interesting for me. I am not a Bible scholar by any means, taken classes, enjoy the Bible periodically. And here lately, more and more, I've been referring back for myself to the Bible. And this short paragraph is from the Science of Mind magazine, this month's magazine. Remember, our relationship with ourselves forms the ground from which we all outer, I put an extra word in, slow down, sorry. Our relationships with ourselves forms the ground from which all outer relationships arise. The awareness from falling in love is often an opportunity to develop that relationship with self into one that is more loving, more compassionate, more resilient. If we learn these things, then we have gained from the experience. We're saying twice. Think about it. Focus on it. And then if you have a mind to, go to Galatians 5, and it's verse 25, very short verse. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. So if you call yourself living as a religious scientist, we're scientists because we investigate and because we question and because we get answers that are pure answers and pure truth. If you are a religious scientist, awareness person, examine things. Examine how you love yourself. Examine how you love others. Examine all these relationships, all these yous and me's and we's that do create our society. Not just the society that we have with one another, but the society of all, the society of the whole, the society of goodness and beingness. And I'm going to have our reader come up, and then I'll come back and finish up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There is only God. The way we relate to ourselves, one another, the world, and the universal power are all interconnected and inseparable. We cannot claim to love God while hating ourselves. We cannot declare that this is a just and equitable universe while treating others, people, animals, and the earth, unjustly and inequitably. This month is the invitation to anchor in the spiritual practice of engaged relationships and actively reveling in the wonder of how each relationship is ultimately a relationship of spirit with itself. As a member of society who is also a practicing metaphysician, you have access to a teaching and tools that can change the structures and foundation of society, knowing that everyone begins and ends in consciousness. This week, explore your own beliefs about society and where you are open to or closed off from ideas and or experiences of others. This week, as you interact with the world, pause periodically and look at the societal norms you and those around you have agreed to follow through the lens of a world that works for all. As you notice things in your surroundings that you are not demonstrating this vision, ask yourself, what can I do to be an ambassador of this society that works? And once you have your answer, do it. If everyone demanded peace instead of another television set, then there be peace. That's from John Lennon. And so it is.
Thank you, Marcia. Let's see where we are. Okay, we're going to have a song. Some of the, songs when they were written is like the Bible. Things have just been here for us to be aware of. And at some point, they become a little more relevant than others. So do respect yourself and take good care of yourself and be yourself and bless it all. So we have time here to look at our call to action and living and moving and being the expression of a unified society calls us to a new paradigm. For a while, their paradigm shifts were very, it was popular to use the term a new paradigm. And there's always a new paradigm. For me, I believe with every breath that we take, there's something new for us to be aware of. And in today's society, there certainly is a lot for us to be aware of. And our spiritual truth, our spiritual awareness of who we are and how we are the you and the we and the me and the whole society is very, very important. Just a 4-letter word that is going to be very, very important for some of us, probably the rest of our lifetime, is that if we get out and vote. There's a lot of things going on in the secular world that we need to pay attention to. So it's not always just coming to church, getting the word. It's doing the reading, doing the listening, doing the investigation, the contemplation, as was said prior. And back to this text here, living, moving, and being the expression of a united society calls us to a new paradigm, a new evolved way of being, where we practice the teachings as a beloved society. We are invited to embody love, and not solely in an individual manner, but rather in a collective manner. And how God forgives is from the Science of Mind textbook on page 431.4. And it also is a reference from Matthew 6:14 and 15. And it is from the teachings of Jesus, and it is on, as I said, page 431, the 4th paragraph. And we are told that God will forgive us after we have forgiven others. This is the beginning of the paragraph. This is a direct statement and one that we should ponder deeply. Can God forgive until we have forgiven? If God can work for us only by working through us, then this statement of Jesus stands true and is really a statement of the law of cause and effect. We cannot afford to hold personal animosities or enmities against the world or individual members of society. All such thoughts are outside the law and cannot be taken into heavenly consciousness. Love alone can beget love. People do not gather roses from thistles. So with those thoughts and the words from from today, let's move into spiritual mind treatment. And there are folks in our lives that you personally might want to remember who have made their transition at this time. And we do have a member that has made her transition, and that is Mrs. Webster, Connie Webster. Some of you may remember her. So we remember her and her journey in peace and in quietude. and a friend of myself and Reverend Liara. Her name is Paula Dotseth. And she too is on her way on a new and different journey. So anyone who comes to mind, we have Terry Ward, who is experiencing a health challenge. We have Bobby Presley, and any names that you can just bring up in your heart. And if you choose to say them quietly so that they are in the atmosphere of this sanctuary, just know that God is. God is everywhere present. We bring also in our Jerry Lawson's daughter. We bring in all that we can think of. Just take a moment. Our Wendy. Just take a moment and bring them into our hearts. God is each and every individualized expression on this universal plane and beyond. What do we know? But God is, simply is. And as it manifests itself as you, as me, as we, as the society of all animal, all beings, all inanimate objects, God is. And the I am of God is the I am of you. And as we speak to God through our own consciousness, do not be quiet in your speaking. Demand of God what it is that is in your heart. For it knows what it is, and we must allow the essence and the truth of our consciousness to just bring forth what we know as the humanness of us. Bring forth the healing where there is an appearance that healing is needed. Bring forth the prosperity as it expresses in money, in food, in housing, in clothing, in a clear and authentically thinking mind. Bring forth the good, the truth of who you are, every single moment with every single breath. And ask for peace. Ask for wholeness. Ask for prosperity. Not because you don't think that you have it, but ask for it in thanksgiving, knowing that you do. Knowing that all that you are is God expressing. Knowing that who you are is the prayer itself. Do not pray from the question mark of not having. Pray with the knowingness that you have, that you are the essence and the truth and the Holy Spirit of God within you, as you, the me, the we, the society will do as we bid it to do. There are enough of us that live and breathe and act and react and share with one another the truth of God. Therefore, there are others. And when that essence of truth is accepted, realized, known, enacted throughout this world, we will have peace, just as we each have peace now. I know that the divine expression of God is in each and every one within the sound of my voice and beyond. I just release this peace, this beauty, this love, this harmony, this prosperity, whatever form it comes to you, whatever form it comes to those who are caretaking our loved ones. Know that it is done. It is done. It is done because we have declared it to be so. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. So Lynnette, I'm going to turn it back to you for our benediction. And I just want to share a invitation. Lynnette probably will share it also. And that is for the ordination of Reverend Teresa Slusher. And that will be on the fifth Sunday in, it will be on the first Sunday in August. And Reverend Leora Nash is visiting us. Reverend Beverly Branham is visiting us from California. And if you can get to church on the first Sunday to assist in the ordination of Reverend Teresa, it would be most welcoming. And because the congregation gets to invite her in to be one of our ordained ministers, and we will have it on Zoom. So we bless her, and it's a very, very special event. So I'm going to turn this over to Lynnette for benediction.
Thank you, Reverend Joe. And thank you so much for that powerful prayer treatment, all those beautiful words and ideas that we can use to be reminded of. So thank you so much for your talk today. So join me in the benediction. Divine Spirit, just giving thanks for all that we have received today at this morning's service at Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, giving thanks for Miracle Center and the community and the society that we are and the society that we affect. Just giving thanks that our hearts and our minds are aligned to the peace and the love and the joy that is God, the I am that I am. And bless us all that we are conscious of this I am that I am as we make our way out into society, as we make our way through the weeks and days to come, knowing that we are blessing our community, our society, that we are a blessing, and we are so very blessed. And with a grateful heart, I release this prayer into the mind of God, knowing it is done. And together we say, and so it is.
Amen.
Well, yes, I just want to say one more thing about Reverend June was saying about it's August 7th is the date, that the first Sunday, I believe it is, that we're having Reverend Teresa's ordination, that event, and Reverend Leora will be here with us. So I intend to be there in person that Sunday. And I also want to give a shout out to our podcast. I believe Jerry launched another podcast. I believe we have 16, Jerry.
Yes.
And just want to invite you to, if you have an iPhone or iPad, go to the podcast app and type in Dynamic Living, the Transformative Power of Miracles, and just click on any of the episodes. And I just want to remind everyone that they are only about 10 or 15 minutes long. It's a short time to listen, so you don't have to have a big block of time to be listening to them, but just grab one here or there throughout the day, or you could go access it through Miracle Center's website and click on the link there to access the podcast. So shout out to all that stuff that's out there, that we're doing, that Miracle Center is doing and being, and just giving thanks for all of you in my life. Thank you. So this concludes this morning's service, and I believe we'll circle up and sing a peace song.
Thank you.